Today, PFLAG Midshore is hosting our Transgender Day of Remembrance, which was technically yesterday, but we are honoring this day today. Transgender Day of Remembrance honors those who died between October 1, 2019 and September 30th, 2020. This year has marked one of the most deadly years for members of the transgender community. 53 lives were taken in the United States that we know of, and 386 were killed worldwide. So this is our opportunity to honor those who we have lost, to say their names, and to reflect on the violence that so many in the transgender community suffer from. Today we have two speakers. We have Tina Jones and Mia Mason. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mia Mason, who will be our first speaker for today.
Well, good evening or good morning to everyone. Oftentimes we think about what Trans Awareness Week means and bringing, situations to light that, allow families to understand exactly what a loved one may be going through. It was brought to me earlier this week that the person in my community who is 16 years old is looking at the opportunities to transition. And to think about it, it was brought up because the parent said, we need you to go get a job, go, make money, find a way to get into college and do good things with your life. And when we take a look around at ourselves, and some of us don't even transition into our 40s, 50s, or 60s because we have a self-discovery time, we understand that many in our community are less fortunate, don't even have an opportunity to have loving parents to allow their transition to begin. Oftentimes we see where people of the LGBT community go out and do things on their own to work, to make money, to help in their transition, and it leads them astray, or they actually have it as their job. This often leads to work discrimination and hate that is allowed in some states, and we have to make sure that we restore that equity and equality, because when we take a look at all of these names, it is a huge increase from 2016 all the way to present, and we need to be able to put this on the reverse. We have to be able to make sure that what we do is protecting our communities, informing our communities, and loving our communities. Without this, we have a lot of names to read through, and it shouldn't be this way. The numbers should be going down, but instead they're going up because of the hate and the incensed, the violence that is being taught to others, and to have a panic defense is something that should not be allowed. And no matter if you're dating or working, this discrimination is real, and we must be able to work together to end it. So let's get into the names and see who has fallen this year.
Thank you, Mia. Tina, would you like to take this on to say a few words?
Yes, I would, please. Just as Mia mentioned, I was one of those people who transitioned later in life. I was 56. I've actually transitioned just over a year ago. And all the things that Mia's mentioned has happened to me. It's interesting, coming from, prior to transitioning, what would be seen as, a very privileged life, being white, being male, being well educated, having a successful career, and then suddenly going from that to being hated and discriminated against, and all the things that Mia has talked about. Sometimes the discrimination is very obvious. Being called it by people is a very obvious thing. But there's a lot less that's as obvious, workplace discrimination that's disguised as something that you yourself have done wrong. The stories that I hear as I founded a support group this year, the stories that I've heard from young adults, 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, who aren't allowed to be themselves, who are made to sleep in attics, who are just, teased and abused and discriminated at school, not just by other students, but by people that work at the schools. It's terrible. It's horrible. We need to do something different in this society. It's very important that we recognize that transgender people are people. When I came out, I made a comment to folks that I just wanted to be me. I had been in hiding for 50 years. I knew who I was 50 years ago. My self-discovery happened when I was a teenager. The fear kept me in, kept the walls up, kept the mask on, and caused me to build this false image that I presented to other folks that but that tore me up inside. It took a brush with death to actually cause me to make the decision to come out. It's been the happiest year of my life, but it's also been the absolute hardest year of my life. I've lost friends. My wife has lost friends. You get discriminated against at every turn. You run into barriers at work or in the community that you never had before. People trying to minimize you or say you're the problem when we know it's not the case. We're all just people. My goal was just to be myself and just to live my life, no different than I was before, but just as my true self. So transition, what I've learned is transition is more than just a physical change. It's a change in everyone's lives who do this, who make this choice. Who make the decision to come out. It's not a choice. We are who we are. We are who we are for our lives. And so the pain that comes from that is really real and pretty unbearable at times. I think about these people's names that we're getting ready to read and the pain, not only that they suffered, obviously, when they were murdered, but the pain they suffered probably, if not every day, many days leading up to their deaths. We need to change this, as Mia said. We need to have a world that hates, that does not hate, that loves. We need to be willing to learn about people and understand people before we pass judgment on it. We see so much of that happening in this world today, not just in the transgender community, but in the communities of people of color and other places. It needs to stop. And the way we stop that is by all of us coming together, doing whatever we can to make a difference, taking the opportunity, if asked, to tell your story, asking your friends, your cisgender friends that are out there to show their support for you. One of the things that if we want to really be successful, we can't simply be, only in groups of people like us. We need the entire community supporting us. That's when real change will happen. So I encourage everybody, just as Mia said, do the piece that you can do for the upcoming year. Get out there, stand up for people who are marginalized, people who are oppressed, not just people like you. Make a point. I make a point to go to Black Lives Matter movements because, again, as long as anybody is marginalized, as long as anybody is discriminated, there will be discrimination across all sectors. So please, I implore you to take this year, reflect on these people, remember these people who we've lost in the last year, honor their memory, honor their names by going out and doing whatever little thing you can do to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else again. So thank you.
Thank you, Tina. And, oftentimes in our lives, we understand exactly how hard that is. For me, I was able to transition while I was on active duty, but it was in secret. It was one of those things that, I had to deal with sexual harassment as well. It was one of those things that the name calling, like you spoke about, is so detrimental that it often makes you want to think of not doing it and ending your life. And it was very difficult, especially when you're getting groped every day by grown men who are side by side, or nearly getting ran over or killed by your own service members. These types of things need to end. And that was in my past. You may be having a worse year in your life and a great year in your life, but many of us who go through transition, sometimes that never ends. And we need to be able to accept that as well and help them. And thank you for creating a support group out there on the shore to take care of those who are left behind and to bring up the Black Lives Matter is just a stepping stone. By you going out every day as who you are is more important than, the fear or guilt or waiting. It is time to just be who you are and stand up and be happy. If you're looking in the mirror and you're saying, man, this isn't me, you know what you need to do. You need to make that change and make it happen. All of us have the opportunity to do it. We may be able to blame our parents, blame everybody else, but we actually have to go through that self-discovery and make that choice. And sometimes we often are thinking about suicide, are thinking about drugs, are thinking about a lot of other things that may affect us that are down the wrong side. But guess what? You can stand up and still get the help that you need. And if you didn't need to worry about having to transition or be gay, bi, or, queer, it makes a big difference when you are able to have your own mental health care and take care of yourself so that you can be in front of others and be who you are every day and be happy about it too.
Well said, Mia. Yeah. The numbers are staggering when you look at the transgender community, at the amount of self-harm that happens. Roughly 50% of the transgender community attempts suicide at some point. I'm one of those people. I'm a suicide survivor 2 times over. 70% suffer job loss. Pretty much all of us suffer some kind of discrimination. And out of no fault of our own other than being who we are. We need, as Mia said, we need the world to come behind us. We need all of our members of our communities to come behind us. At this point, we need that so that we can have elected officials pay attention to us, to say, this needs to stop, this needs to change. We cannot, we as a society are never going to get better as long as we keep putting down any part of that society. We cannot grow. We cannot grow as a society, as a nation. We cannot grow as human beings until we learn to do that. So, again, I hope everyone takes that to heart. Again, don't let these people who have died die in vain. Make a difference. Make a difference today. Make a difference every day. I need you to do that. I'll be very candid. I need you to do that. I don't want to see other people go through what I had to go through. And everybody I know that's transgender has had to go through. We all have the same stories. And so please help us, and please remember these people, and please help us make a change.
Thank you, Tina, for sharing your stories with us. And thank you, Mia, also. I'm going to turn this over to Claire to start off our list of names, but we want to say their names.
Thank you. Lynn, Mia, and Tina. First, I'm going to start off by reading the first set of names. Corbin Ray Bach died the 23rd of October. He's 23. Died October 6th, 2019 in Pudak, Kentucky. Christine Zephyr, 23. Died October 10th, 2019 in Monaco, Minnesota. Daphne Dorman, 44, died October 11th, 2019 in San Francisco, California. Brianna B.B. Hill, age 30, died October 14th, 2019 in Kansas City, Missouri. Nikki Kuhan Hassan, age 17, died December 7th, 2019 in Larch Mountain, Oregon. Angel Rose Garcia, age 21, died December 10th, 2019 in Hyattsville, Maryland. Alice Carter, baby Alice, age 35, died December 18th, 2019 in Washington, D.C. Yahira Nesby, age 33, died December 19th, 2019 in Brooklyn, New York. Mia Penny, age 26, died December 19th, 2019 in Washington, D.C. Dustin Parker, age 25, died January 1st of 2020 in McAlester, Oklahoma. Alex McRae, age 22, died January 4th of 2020 in St. Louis, Missouri. Camila Maria Concipion, age 28, died February 21st of 2020 in Los Angeles, California. Nuisa Lucayano Ruiz, died February 24th in Puerto Rico. Yampi Mendez Arocho, age 19, died March 5th of 2020 in Puerto Rico.
John Scott DeVore, Scotland Kelly DeVore, age 51, died March 12th, 2020 in Augusta, Georgia. Monica Diamond, age 34, died March 18th, 2020 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Lexi Ebony Sutton, age 33, died March 28th, 2020 in Harlem, New York. Lorena Borjas, age 59, died March 30th, 2020 in Queens, New York. Ashley Moore, age 26, died April 1st, 2020 in Newark, New Jersey. Henrietta Robinson, age 79, died April 3rd, 2020 in Miami, Florida. Joanna Metzger died April 11th, 2020 in Baltimore, Maryland. Penelope Diaz Ramirez died April 13th, 2020 in Puerto Rico. Serena Angelique Velasquez Ramos died April 21st, 2020 in Puerto Rico. Leila Blaise Sanchez, age 21, died April 21st, 2020 in Puerto Rico. Nina Pop, age 28, died May 3rd, 2020 in Sikeston, Missouri. Haley J. O'Regan, age 20, died May 6th, 2020 in San Antonio, Texas. Jane Thompson, age 33, died May 9th, 2020 in Orchard Mesa, Colorado. Tony McDade, age 38, died May 27th, 2020, in Tallahassee, Florida.
Selena Reyes Hernandez, 37, May 31st, 2020, Marquette Park, Chicago, Illinois. A child which is unknown, age 16 to 20, because it wasn't verified or told to others, June 6, 2020, Chicago, Illinois. Rihan Mathon, 25, June 29th, 2020, in Liberty Town, Cincinnati, Ohio. Dominic Reneen Fells, that's 27 years old, June 9th, 2020, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Brian Powers, nicknamed the Eagle, June 16th, 2020, in Akron, Ohio. Rayla Stone, 17 years old, June 25th, 2020, in Sherwood, Arkansas. Tonita Hall, I apologize, age 22, June 30th, 2020, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Marcy Mack Ritchie, 22 years old, June 30th of 2020, in Oak Cliff, Dallas, Texas. Dragula McCartney, 28 years old, June 30th, 2020, in Baton Rouge, Illinois. Shika Peters, 32 years old, July 1st, 2020, in Amite City, Louisiana. Bree Black, 27 years old, July 3rd, 2020, in Pompeo Beach, Florida. Summer Taylor, 24 years old, died on July 24th, 2020, in Seattle, Washington. Angeline Martinez Gomez, 42 years old, July 6th, 2020, this is Santa Monica, California. Marilyn Monroe Cortez, 22 years old, July 13th, 2020, in Brawley, California.
Tiffany Harris, or can you hear me at all? Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't quite seeing that. Tiffany Harris, or Dior H. Ova, age 32, died July 26, 2020, the Bronx, New York. Keisha Hardy, age 24, July 27, 2020, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Asia Raquel Roan Spears, or Rocky Roan, age 32, died July 28, 2020, in Portland, Oregon. Key Sam, age 24, died August 13, 2020, in Lafayette, Louisiana. Shelley Lynn Rose, age 16, died August 26, 2020. Ellie Che, age 23, died August 31st, 2020, in Bronx, New York. Isabella Mia Lofton, age 21, died September 7th, 2020, Brooklyn, New York. Gia Valentina Remulado Rodriguez, age 46, died September 15th, 2020, in Miami, Florida. Aaron Burnett, age 37, died September 19th, 2020, in Independence, Missouri. Mia Green, age 29, died September 28th, 2020, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Michelin Ramos Vargas, age 33, died September 30th, 2020, in Puerto Rico. So I want to take this time to thank everybody here for saying their name. It's so important for all of us, whether we're trans, LGBTQ, allies, just community members in a whole, to remember all these people who died to anti-trans violence. It does need to stop. As a parent of a transgender son, it certainly is very riveting and scary to know that there's so much violence that is out there against this community and that it's been growing exponentially. We definitely see that violence against trans women of color being very profound, but we see that violence against all trans members of this community at large. We'd love to have a day where we don't have to say their names anymore. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today. Please go out there, use your voice, use your actions, whatever you can do to help lift up the lives and make this world a safer place.
Thank you.
All right.